Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and today the day has arrived. This is exciting for me. It's Spider-Man. So this is the new Magic the Gathering Spider-Man set. This is the first of several Marvel-themed sets that are coming out from Magic the Gathering. This is a big crossover thing for me. Of course, I started collecting comics in 1984. I started playing Magic in 1994. And even though I'm not the world's biggest Spider-Man fan, I do have a soft spot, of course, for Marvel Comics, as you can see. So I had to get this. This is a collector booster box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this here, and we're going to see what's in these 12 collector packs. Now, before I do that, I know most of the people watching the video aren't necessarily Magic players. Most of my viewers are comic collectors. So I want to just talk a little bit about what this set is and some of the stuff that's going on surrounding the set. So there's some context to when I open this. I'm going to have timestamps below if you want to skip the introduction stuff where I talk about what the set is. You'll be able to just click on the timestamp below and jump right to me opening the packs. So here's how this has gone down. And it hasn't gone down very well, as it turns out, with the vocal part of the Magic the Gathering community. Now, Marvel first announced that there was going to be this crossover with Magic sometime last year. And to launch that, Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro, they did what they call a secret lair, which was a little mini set of 5 or 6 cards that were Marvel themed, and you had to go to their website, and they had a limited amount, and you could buy them as special collector things. Now, I've talked about that in previous videos because I bought the Iron Man set and I bought the Captain America set, and I'm making an Avengers themed deck. They also put out sets for Storm and Wolverine and Deadpool and Black Panther, and I have a couple Storm cards and I also have a couple Black Panther cards, but I haven't gotten those complete sets. And those sets were fantastic. Again, there are only a few cards, but the cards for the Marvel heroes were really great in terms of how the mechanics of the cards in the game worked to reflect the abilities of the characters in the comics. So I was really excited for that. And based on those sets, even though, again, I'm not a big Spider-Man guy, I was excited for this set. But there's been a lot of issues surrounding the set that have really turned off a large portion of the Magic the Gathering fan base. When this was announced, originally Spider-Man was going to be a small set. And it was originally designed to be basically 100 cards, which is a mini set. Most of the full sets are more like 300 cards. But they were only going to do like 100 cards. It was supposed to be just a little mini set. Now, they did something similar to this a couple years ago with Assassin's Creed. And it was a massive bomb. People really didn't like the set for lots of different reasons. Not just the flavor of the set, but also it was too small. You couldn't really draft with it if you like that format. And there was just a lot of issues in it. So it did really, really poorly. Now, Wizards of the Coast hasn't said that that was part of their decision to change Spider-Man from a small set to a regular set. They claim that they decided to change it from a 100-card set to a 188-card set because there were just too many characters and stuff that they needed to fit in because it was just so exciting to work with, which is really, should be true. But the result is that very late in the process of creating the set, they suddenly doubled the size of the set. And when they did that, several things happened. One of these is that it was announced that the Spider-Man set was actually going to be part of Standard, which is the sort of basic format for playing Magic the Gathering. And up until this year, these sets, what they call Universe Beyond, which are outside properties that Magic is making cards for, were not part of Standard. They were cards that you could play in certain formats, but they were really sort of in a separate field for sort of collectors or fans of those properties. The issue with making it standard is because standard is tournament legal. It means that if you're playing in the base format now, you have to be using these Universe Beyond cards, and you have to be playing against them. And for a lot of Magic fans, this is really it breaks the immersion to be playing in what's basically a fantasy world, and all of a sudden you're have a bunch of regular people and superheroes, but regular people set in New York City. And so people were really unhappy with the decision to make the standard legal. But the other big problem with the set suddenly doubling in size is that they really didn't have enough time for the development. And the result is that the set itself isn't that great in terms of the gameplay, but also specifically the mechanics of the cards reflecting the flavor of the universe. That's what they've done really well with a lot of these previous Universe Beyond, and as I said, with the Marvel Secret Lair mini sets, the flavor was perfect. Some of those cards are just like really great for how the way the card works reflects how the superhero is. And some of the cards in the Spider-Man set are also really excellent. Like J. Jonah Jameson card, which hopefully you'll see in a little bit once I open the packs, is like a perfect flavor card. It's so good. But a lot of them aren't. There's a lot of cards in here which are basically like generic ability that could be anything, but for some reason it's on this Spider-Man. And doesn't really make sense why this version of Spider-Man would have this ability. Like, there's no correlation between the two. And there's a lot of cards like that in here, where it feels like they didn't have time to really develop the full set because they suddenly had to do twice as many cards. And the result is that they just took generic Magic cards and put a picture of Spider-Man on it. And that's really disappointing both for Magic players, but also for Spider-Man fans. So there's that issue. And that was exacerbated by how they released the information about the sets. So they have what's called spoiler season, where in advance of a set coming out, they start telling you what cards are going to come out so you can get excited for the set. That's become more and more of a problem with Magic, because it used to be they were putting out 3 sets a year. So you'd have the cards, you'd be playing with them for a couple months, 2 or 3 months. And maybe after playing for 3 months, you'd start to get the spoilers for the next set. But now they're doing 6 sets a year. And so what's happening is you're getting the cards and you're only playing them with them for like a month, like 3 or 4 weeks, and they already start advertising the next set before you've had a chance to get used to this one. But it was much worse with Spider-Man, because this was coming out in September. The spoiler season would normally be the end of August, but because Comic-Con was happening at the end of July, they basically started revealing Spider-Man cards at Comic-Con before the previous set had even come out. So you had a thing where Final Fantasy came out in June, and then Edge of Eternities was coming out the very end of July, beginning of August. Official launch date beginning of August. And before the set was even out, they were already telling you what the cool cards were going to be in the next Spider-Man set. So it was completely undermining things. Fans are getting overwhelmed with how many cards are coming out. Can't keep up. Wallets can't keep up. And then on top of that, what they did to advertise the set at Comic-Con is they put out these special, there's a separate Spider-Man set from the regular set, which is a group of cards that are designed to introduce new players to the game. So these are cards that you get in these like starter decks and starter packs, and so they're much simpler than the regular cards. And so they also, as a result, have a lot less flavor because they don't have the complicated mechanics that reflect the abilities. And those were the first cards they released because they were giving those out to people at Comic-Con, probably figuring we're going to get a bunch of new comic book fans that haven't played Magic to buy Spider-Man because they're Spider-Man fans, and so we're going to teach them how to play the game with these basic cards. But the result is that the first cards that were spoiled for Spider-Man were all really kind of boring cards that had no flavor correlation between the character on the card and what the card did. And so it was extremely underwhelming. And just the whole reveal was a mess between it being underwhelming and also undermining the next set, which hadn't even come out yet. They were just sort of tripping over themselves. On top of all of that, there's a licensing issue here. Now, in addition to printing the regular cards, the physical cards you can play in person, Magic has a thing called Magic the Gathering Arena, which is a digital version of the game that you can play like on your phones or on your laptops or whatever. And so normally what happens is a set comes out. It comes out at the same time on Arena, so you can play with the cards either in real life or online. The problem is that Marvel has their own online collectible card game that's digital only called Marvel Snap, which is really popular. So when Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro made the deal with Marvel to do the Spider-Man set, and presumably the future Marvel sets, they didn't have the digital rights, only the physical rights. And so what that means is that Magic has decided that they're going to, because they're standard legal, they have to be in the Arena game, particularly because a lot of the main tournaments now are done on Arena rather than in person, which is a move that they made during COVID when people couldn't attend in person. So they have to have the cards on Arena, but they're not allowed to. So what they've done is on Arena, there's all the exact same cards, but with all the Spider-Man stuff wiped off of them and completely different names and different artworks, but that do exactly the same thing. First of all, this is super confusing. I've watched a couple videos of people who got the Arena preview, like sort of pre-release, so they could try it in advance. And I've seen a lot of stuff with the Spider-Man cards, so I'm pretty familiar, even though I haven't even opened it yet, with what the cards are and what they do. But I've got no idea what the new names and artwork are for those cards in the Arena. And so when people are going through the cards, you have to basically memorize two completely different sets of cards that do the exact same thing. But also, for all the fans that are really unhappy with Magic putting out all of these other people's IP within the Magic universe and making it standard legal, so you have to get it. They have a situation where the cards that they want are the in-universe ones. So they're using established Magic universes, established Magic characters and creatures. And so if you're on Arena, you can get that. You can get this whole set without any Spider-Man stuff, and it's just like a new in-universe Magic set. But you can't get that physically. You have to, if physically they're only the Spider-Man versions available. And so all the fans that are really unhappy with this sort of encroachment, this flavor encroachment, are doubly upset because they can see the cool versions that they want, and they can't get them. All of this has basically led a large portion of at least the online Magic fandom to sort of pick a Spider-Man as sort of emblematic of everything that they see is wrong with what Magic is currently, the direction they're going and what they're doing and what Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are doing. And so there's a big outcry against the set. And then on top of all of that, you have these collector packs. Now, there's a couple issues with not just the collector packs, but the regular packs even. The Universe Beyond sets, even though they're not even calling them that anymore because they're standard legal, but the ones where they have IPs from outside properties like Final Fantasy, the packs are more expensive. And so this collector booster box, the MSRP for the regular sets is around $300. That's what I paid for a box collector box of the last set, Edge of Eternities. But the MSRP for Universe Beyond is something like $450. It's like quite a bit more. So not close to half as much again. So like an individual pack MSRP for a regular in-universe set is $26.99 per pack, $27. But the Universe Beyond is $37.99, so it's $38. So it's almost 50% more. And the regular packs are also more. And so you got people paying a lot more for product that the hardcore Magic community doesn't want to begin with. But now they have to pay more for it. So that's another problem. And then when Final Fantasy came out, it was so popular that prices for the collector boxes went crazy, and all of these scalpers started coming into Magic and buying up all of the boxes. So like when they're released on Amazon, there's all these scalpers that have bots set up so as soon as they're released, they automatically claim them. And so you've got people, these scalpers and flippers that are basically buying up all the boxes and then reselling them at a much higher price. Now, I was able to get this from my local store, and actually it was at a slight discount, so it was below MSRP. So it was only a little over $400 for me, only. But the going rate for this right now, and again, that's technically not even out yet. Today's the first day you could get it for pre-release, but it's officially releasing next week. But the going rate seems to be between $600 and $650 for one of these. And at one point before the set came out, the price had been as high as $850 to pre-order a box of this. But then they started spoiling the cards, and they weren't that great. So there's that issue as well, is the scalpers driving up the prices and then the company raising the prices. It's all a big mess in terms of the Magic community is just really unhappy with this set. Now, having said all of that, and I agree with a lot of the criticisms of this set specifically, I personally, and again, I've been playing Magic for over 30 years, I really like the Universe Beyond stuff. I understand why people don't, but for me personally, I'm kind of like, because they still are putting out Universe Within sets, so you can still get that, but this is kind of a different way to play and a sort of a breath of fresh air for me. You know, I wasn't playing earlier this year when the set Dragons of Tarkir came out, and people, I guess, were really excited. It sold really well. It was a really well-received set, Dragons of Tarkir. But, 10 years ago, I was playing when the previous set from Tarkir came out, which was more dragons. And so I'm just sort of like, yeah, man, I don't need another set of dragons. I've seen it. I've seen the dragons. I've done the dragons. I don't need another whole set of dragons. I don't need a set of dinosaurs like Ixalan. I'm fine with that existing. But for me, the Universe Beyond stuff is just sort of more interesting. And on top of that, considering I'm a big comic book fan, I'm excited to dig into this. One last criticism of the set, there's even more, and we'll see how this goes, is that the chase card in here is the Soul Stone. And of course, the Soul Stone is the Infinity Stone, right? And that's sort of the big card in this set. And there's two special versions that you can only get in here, but the chances of getting them are incredibly small. So it's like, no one really knows it's less than 1% per pack, but it's actually much less than that. So I'm just going to make up numbers that I think are probably relatively accurate. Generally speaking, I think there's probably there's like a 0.2% chance of getting the comic version in one of these, and I think it's probably something like 0.05% chance of getting the full art version. Those are just guesses. Those are the big chase ones. So there's almost like your chances of getting one in a pack are something like 1 in 5,000. So it's very unlikely you're going to see that. Now the packs also have other slots where you can get stuff, and so theoretically you can get a foil, regular art foil version of the Soulstone in here, which is great, except there's only one slot in the pack that you can get that in, and there's no slots in the pack where you can just get a regular Soulstone. The reason is they didn't do an extended art version like all the other cards in the set. So what you have is a situation where your chances of getting a Soulstone, the most valuable and sought after card in the set, are actually less in the collector pack than they are in the regular pack, because in a regular pack there's 2 slots you can get a Soulstone. The regular rare slot, which can have the Soulstone as a mythic, or the foil slot, which can also have a foil version of the Soulstone. But because this doesn't have a regular slot, you can only get it in the foil, which means that the regular packs, which you can get for $6 or $7, have a better chance of getting an Infinity Stone than the collector packs, which are supposed to be 38 but are currently selling for like 55 or 60. So that doesn't make any sense to me, and it's just weird that they did that. The result is that I've watched over 300 packs opened already on other people's videos and live streams, and I haven't seen a single Soulstone pulled out of any of them, I don't think. Maybe one. Whereas some of the other chase cards, I've seen actually more than that. Like I've seen 2 of the Miles Morales comic covers and stuff like that. And those are the ones we're looking for today, is the 2 incredibly rare Soulstones, which are very expensive. If I get one of those, we're all going to have a party. Then there's a series of costume change Spider-Man cards. So there's 3 different Spider-Man cards in this set. But the Spectacular Spider-Man, I think it is, Spectacular Spider-Man has the regular art, but then there's 7 other costumes where you can get that art, and it's a bunch of different costumes that Spider-Man has worn at different times in his career. Those have something like a 0.3% chance. So there's one in like every 20, I forget what, 2,800 packs or something was what people were kind of figuring out. So it's very unlikely that I'll get one, but those are worth a lot of money. We're looking for those. But the ones that I really want is there are 3 cards that have a comic book cover variant. It's the cards for Miles Morales, for Eddie Brock, Venom, and for Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Man. And when you flip them over, the backside of each of them is basically their first issue. So it's Amazing Spider-Man #1, Venom #1, and one of the Miles Morales #1s or something. Those are the big cards that we're looking for. If we get the Eddie Brock card, I'll probably sell it because I really dislike Venom. But if I get the Amazing Spider-Man card, I'll probably keep it, even though it's very expensive, because it looks so cool. So that's what we're looking for today. Now I'm going to open the packs finally, and we're going to get right down to just seeing what we got. Okay, now the first thing here is I got a buy a box promo. So because I bought a whole box, the store I got it from, which I want to give a shout out to, it's Excelsior in Maynard, Mass. They gave me this promo. So this is a special art for the card Spider Sense, which you can see you can counter an instant sorcery or triggered ability because Spider-Man's sense goes off and warns him it's coming. And it's got a ability called Web Slinging, which means you can cast it for a lower amount if you return a tapped creature to your hand. I'm going to go through these pretty slowly because a lot of my viewers are comic book fans rather than Magic fans, and so a lot of people probably haven't seen these cards, and because the flavor is all comic book stuff, I want to show off everything here. So we'll just move that to the side, and I'm going to open these packs up here one at a time. It's always tricky to try and get these open without messing the card up. Well, I watch some people do these videos where they just do live streams where they open up packs, and they're just experts at doing this. Like, all right. So this is the first time I've done this setup here. So you can see we start with City Pigeon, which is a common, and it's actually a pretty good card, but it's also one that people have kind of been making fun of because, again, this is sort of like a little immersion breaking when you're dealing with, wizards and dragons usually, and now you just got a pigeon stealing a hot dog. Venom, Evil Unleashed. Now, a lot of the main characters have multiple cards. Like I mentioned, there's 3 Spider-Man cards. I think there's 3 or 4 Venoms, 3 or 4 Miles Morales. So a lot of the main characters have multiple cards. Spider-Man, Brooklyn Visionary. Bagel and Schmear. Here's another card that's been getting a lot of mockery on because it's just a bagel. Savage Mansion. So this is there's a whole set of these dual lands that you can tap to surveil, which means you look at the top card of your library of your deck, and you can either put in the graveyard or whatever. This is Craven the Hunter's house. Here's Morbius, the Living Vampire. Everyone is really excited to have this revealed for the memes. I'm actually a fan of Morbius as a character, so I think the memes are, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of them. And the card's not that great either, unfortunately. Here's Hobgoblin, Mantled Marauder. These are all uncommons, so they're not that powerful. Commons or uncommons. So like they're not that powerful, but they're really cool for the flavor. Madam Web, Clairvoyant, which is really good if you're playing an all spider deck. Heroes Hangout, which has Gwen and Miles Morales together, and you can choose whether they're on a date or whether they're on a patrol. Here's the lands. So all the lands have these, see if I can get this in the light. So they've got like the city or whatever it is in the background, and then the foreground is the web with whatever the mana symbol is. And so in this case, it's an island. These look really cool, even though I'm still actually not that big a fan of them. All right, so here we have our rares and our mythics, if we get any mythics. Shadow of the Goblin. Okay, here's the Spot, Living Portal. Now, you can see this has a different look to it. This is the comic book frame, so this is an alternate art where they have comic book style lettering and comic book style art, so these are really cool. There's Mysterio, Master of Illusion. Mysterio is a really good card. Whoops. Here's a really good one. Obviously, the comic fans will recognize this. It's Arachnogenesis. Now, there's this slot in every pack is what's called special guest or whatever. So basically, in every one of these collector packs, there's a slot that's going to be an old card from Magic's history that's being reprinted with Spider-Man related art. And in this case, they're using the art from, of course, Todd McFarlane's amazing, Spider-Man #1. It's also a really good card, so that's a really good pull there. And then we have a foil Death of Gwen Stacy. And again, these are what's called sagas, and they're absolutely perfect for, put this here. They're perfect for comic books because they tell a story, and so they've created this new template. At some point, I'm sure we'll see a regular version of the saga, but this is the comic book version, and this is with the comic template. So it's got the little panels that tell you what's happening and stuff like that. So I actually have one of these sort of already that's on the way. Because I wasn't actually sure if I was going to be able to get a booster box, I pre-ordered a few cards that I knew I wanted that were they're a couple dollars each. And one of them was, I got a whole set of all the comic book versions of all the 5 sagas in the set because I just really wanted to collect them. And then here's the token. So, I mean, that was an okay pack. Arachnogenesis is definitely the best card in that pack. All right, so let's pop open the next one. Yeah, not having a great time opening these, but they're sealed very firmly. You can see we got a food token here. Food tokens are something that recent sets have had, but in this case it's a hot dog. Okay, we got Mechanical Mobster. Silvermane, I guess. There's a few characters here where they don't actually have their names. They're just, we'll see some later. Rather than being legendary with the names, it's the characters, but with a generic name. Inner Demons Gangsters. This is for minions of Mr. Negative. Whoosh. There's 3 or 4 of these sound effect cards, which actually I really dig. So you can see he's fighting Vulture. Here's Stegron the Dinosaur Man. Symbiote Spawn. I can't stand anything with symbiotes, to be honest. But I did want to point out that this has got a different symbol on it. So you'll notice these here all have the Spider-Man face symbol, like his belt buckle spider symbol. This has a little spider on it. So these cards are from that separate set of beginner cards that I mentioned. Here's the Daily Bugle Building, which has a really cool ability on it. Smear Campaign. Target legendary creature gains menace until end of turn. So the stuff they've done with the Daily Bugle and with J. Jonah Jameson giving things menace is just so fun. Yeah, it's really cool. Okay, I just had to rearrange my setup here. But this is a really fun card that I'm looking forward to putting in some decks. It only works on legendary creatures, but I think there's a lot of decks that fits in. There's Spider UK. Now, one thing I should mention is, like I mentioned, there's a lot of different versions of the characters. So there's several Spider-Man, Peter Parkers, and several Miles Morales. But a lot of the set is really more Spider-Verse than Spider-Man. There's like 47 or something different Spider-Man cards, and a lot of them are alternate universe versions like Spider UK. Here's the Mary Janes, which is a band. I think it's the band that Gwen Stacy plays in. You can see that's from the set. Damage Control Crew. My comic book homies will enjoy that. And there's the Swamp. Okay, here we got... Oh, this is a really good card. Okay, here's Norman Osborn. It's a regular art, but a foil version. And he flips over to become Green Goblin. So this is one of the bigger cards in the set. So that's really cool. I'm going to put that there. And here's Agent Venom, which is also a really good card. Now it's Flash Thompson is Agent Venom. And you can see that it has Flash, which is a keyword ability in Magic. Every card that has Flash Thompson on it in the set, they all have Flash, which is really fun. Here's Friendly Neighborhood, which is a fun card for white token decks. Goblin Bombardment, which is a foil, and it's got this classic John Romita art of the Green Goblin fighting Spider-Man, so that's really cool. And here's another Agent Venom, but this one's a foil. I like Agent Venom. I don't need 2 of these, but because the set's so small, there is a lot of duplication. You get a lot of the same cards. I've watched a lot of these packs being opened from other people, and you got to expect to get duplicates of everything. But so far, you know, the 2 packs I've opened have actually been pretty good. Arachnogenesis is really good in the first pack, and Norman Osborn really good in the second pack. I've seen some packs where if you don't happen, you know, I've seen entire boxes where if you don't happen to, they didn't happen to hit the like really big chase cards, and as a result, it's just terrible. The variance in what you can get value-wise out of these is pretty large. All right, Spectacular Tactics. This has got Spider-Woman and Spider-Man teaming up to fight the Lizard. Electro's Bolt, which as you can see, it's got Electro on it. It's a pretty decent card, particularly in limited. Unstable Experiment. It's interesting. It's Norman Osborn. So he's looking through the thing and you see the Green Goblin eye. It's interesting that they chose Norman Osborn here rather than the Lizard. Scout the City. Spider-Bot. Living Brain, Mechanical Marvel. I'm not familiar with this. It looks like Spider Slayer to me, but here's Rhino Barreling Brute, which is a really nice card. It's a fun commander, and it's also really good in limited. Chameleon, Master of Disguise. And here's Web Warriors. You can see it's got a bunch of different spider people on it. And this special art is part of a scene. So there's like 9 cards where if you get them all, you can put them together and they form one giant picture. So let me actually set this over here in case we get any more of those. There's a forest. Okay, here's Spider-Man 2099, which is a really interesting card to play. Full art bioorganic carapace. All right, here's another Spider-Man 2099, but it's got, I don't know if this is the scene art. I think this is the scene art. So I think this actually goes in the same picture as this. So I'm going to put that up here. Here's, skipped ahead a little accidentally. Rite of Replication, which is a fun card, and it's got this Clone Saga picture on it. And Iron Spider, Stark Upgrade. Which is actually a really good card, but it's not what we want to see in that. So that pack, like value-wise, wasn't great, but there's a lot of cool flavor cards here. I'm still debating what I'm going to do with the cards that I don't want to play with, but with these doubles, I'll probably end up selling them to get some of my money back. Selling them on eBay. Okay. Daily Bugle Reporters. You see we got Robbie Robertson. This is another one where, and I think that might be Betty Brant behind him. This is another one where we have like recognizable name characters, but instead of the name, it's let me get this lowered a bit so you can see it. Instead of the name, it's generic. Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist. I think there's at least 3 different Dr. Octopuses in this set. Taxi Driver. Here's a card that's gotten a lot of mockery for like immersion breaking. You're playing this fantasy game and it's just a taxi driver. Grow Extra Arms, which is fun. Fun shout out to the story in Amazing Spider-Man 101 and 102. University Campus, Empire State University, where of course Peter went to school and then later became a teacher. This is again part of that series of dual surveil lands. Costume Closet, which is a fun card. There's Scorpion, Seething Striker. These are again uncommon, so they're not as good playing wise, but this is actually a really good card. Supportive Parents. It's clearly got Miles Morales on it since Spider-Man's parents are dead. Here's another Damage Control Crew and a mountain. All right, here's Kraven the Hunter. There are a couple different ones, but this is a good one. It's got cool art. Another Bioorganic Carapace. Here's Sensational Spider-Man. So this is one of the 3 Spider-Mans, and this is from the alternate set. Traumatize, which has some great art from John Romita and Gil Kane. and another Friendly Neighborhood. So again, not a great pack. This does have our first art card in it, which is cool. These are basically cards where you can just see the art without all the text and stuff on it. Most of them aren't worth anything, but they are fun. Okay, 4 packs down. We've got 8 left to go, and it's been okay. The first 2 packs were good. The second 2 packs, not so great in terms of value, but there's a lot of cool cards and a lot of great flavor, so that's what we're enjoying here today. Okay, Scorpion Sting, which is a really good card in Limited. Here's Thwip, which is another one of these sound effect cards. Skyward Spider, another Spider-Verse character. Passenger Ferry, again, just sort of a generic real world thing, but you know, in the second Spider-Man movie, or was it the first one? The first Marvel MCU Spider-Man movie, there's a whole giant fight sequence that takes place on the ferry, so that's probably why they included it. Amateur Hero, and this has got, oh, I can't remember what the character's name is. I can't remember the name of the character. Spider Kid, Spider Boy, I don't remember, but yeah. Lila, Holographic Assistance. This is from the other set. Rhino's Rampage, which has some cool art. School Days. Here's Spider-Man, Peter Parker struggling at school, which is always good. Spider Bite, Web Warden. Swamp. All right, we got Superior Spider-Man. The third Friendly Neighborhood. I can see I've got 2 of the same card in this pack. Here's the Clone Saga, which is a really fun card. Hex, which has an Eric Larson and Walt Simonson Sinister Six cover. Although I don't really think of the Hobgoblin as being part of the Sinister Six, but and then a second Clone Saga. So that's a little disappointing when you get 2 of the same card in the same pack. Particularly, I mean, it's a cool card, but you know, if it was $1,000 card, I wouldn't mind getting 2 in the same pack. Let's put it that way. Okay. Here we go, the Wild Pack Squad. So there's Silver Sable's in here somewhere. I'm sure we'll see her because I think she's an uncommon. Pumpkin Bombardment. We may also see the Pumpkin Bombs at some point. Craven's Cats. Mysterio's Phantasm. Twisted Spider Clone. So there's a lot of fun cards here. Here's Sun Spider, Nimble Webber, who I think is another Spider-Verse character. There's Silver Sable. It's nice that she came in the same pack with her Wild Pack. And there's Shocker, Unshakable. The Raging Goblinoids. I'm not familiar with whatever story they came from. All right, Forest. Rent is Due, which is actually a pretty good card. It's funny. Again, it's another card where the hardcore Magic people are like, really? This is what we're doing in our fantasy world. We're paying the rent. But it's actually a pretty good card. Craven's Last Hunt, which is a really good saga. I'm getting all the sagas here. So I guess I wasted my money pre-ordering them, but whatever. Superior Spider-Man. Oh, here's a foil Saw in Half, which is a fun card, and it's got classic Hobgoblin cover here. And Cheering Crowd, which is an interesting card, but it's not what you want to see in your money slot there. All right, we're halfway done. I have to say it hasn't been great so far, but we're only halfway done. And I've gotten some really cool cards from the bonus set. I mean, I do love that set. And one thing I'm not sure I mentioned about these bonus cards here with the classic art is in the regular packs, you only get one for every 24 packs. Whereas in the collector packs, you get one every pack. So that was a big draw for me to get these packs because those are the ones I was most interested in. Venom's Hunger. Here's a subway train. So once you get off the ferry, you can get on the train. Selfless Police Captain. Here's another one I mentioned. It's clearly Captain Stacy. But they didn't. I guess they just had so many legendary creatures already. They didn't want to call it that, so he's called Selfless Police Captain. But it's clearly Captain Stacy. Just like Gallant Citizen is clearly John Jameson. Just about to get on the rocket. It's a space shuttle here, but just about to get on the rocket that he rides in Amazing Spider-Man #1. There is a Man-Wolf card, but it's not in this set. You can only get the Man-Wolf card if you buy the Man-Wolf action figure. They did a line of action figures that come with Magic cards, and the Man-Wolf card is only available if you get the Man-Wolf action figure. Here's Doc Ock's henchman, Shriek, Troublemaker. I don't know who this character is, but it says she's a villain. That's one of the new keywords here, so I guess she's a villain. Secret Identity is a cool card. It's also cool that the artwork on Secret Identity, the same artist did a classic image from like 20 years ago that has basically the same design. So they brought him back to do this as an homage. Wisecrack is a fun card because it has him fighting Grizzly on it. So I do like that in some of these cards, even though characters like Grizzly don't have their own cards, some of these more obscure characters are getting shout-outs. Here's Spider, piloted by Penny, and this is another part of this scene here, so we'll put that one up there. Where's the mountain? Okay, this is a really good card. It's a foil multiversal passage. This is a really nice land fixing card that can fit in lots and lots of decks, so I'm very happy to get that. I will definitely be playing that in a lot of decks. Another Rent is Due. All right, here's Venom, Deadly Devourer. This is one of several Venoms. This is the Venom from the bonus, from the starter set. So it's not Eddie Brock Venom, which is the really valuable one that people are looking for, but it is really good. Path to Exile. This is one of my favorite bonus cards. I actually ordered one of these just to make sure I would get one, because Path to Exile is a staple white card, and this is obviously one of the greatest Spider-Man covers of all time from Amazing Spider-Man 50. So I had to get that. I'm happy to have two of those. And finally, we got a foil Silk Web Weaver. Now this is the web. There's a set of alternate artworks that have the webbing all over them, like that one there. So that's cool. And then we also get another art card. And this one is Gwen Stacy playing the drums. Now, I mentioned I've watched a lot of people open boxes. I've seen a lot of people get really good stuff, but also a lot of people not get anything good. So far, this has not been great, but I'm still just barely halfway through. I'm going very slowly. Kapow, another sound effect card. The Spider Islanders. I never read that storyline, but I know what it is. Here's Spider-Man No More. Same issue, of course, as Path to Exile. Spider-Man 50. Famous scene. Spider-Man Web Slinger. Here's another version of Peter Parker Spider-Man. So there may actually be 5 different versions of Peter Parker. He's kind of a boring guy. Sinister Hideout. So this is Dr. Octopus's laboratory, and this is part of that cycle of lands. Another Daily Bugle building. Here's Spider's Man, Heroic Horde, and again, this is a Spider-Verse hero. It's something where Uh, Peter Parker's consciousness is transferred into the spiders that bit him, and so the spider, there's like, it's just a costume filled with spiders that think that they are Peter Parker. I don't know. Here's another Mary Jane's. Ezekiel Sims Spider Totem. I'm happy that I'm getting a lot of variants on the commons and uncommons, at least, because I'm getting quite a lot of the set this way. All right, here's another silk, but with a regular art. Another Rent is Due. Ooh, we got another Norman Osborn, but this is the comic book art. So this is the comic book art variant, which is super cool. There's one of these for all 5 of the big characters. So I'm happy with that. Shock had to be, right? And a foil Web of Life and Destiny, which is a really good card for green. Oh, and we got a gold foil signed art card of Swarm. So most of them are just regular art cards, but there's a rare version of each one that has this gold signature. All right, so that was a good pack. I mean, Norman Osborn's a really good card, and that's, I think, the best version of that card. I would have preferred to get someone else because I already had a Norman Osborn, but can't be disappointed with a pack that has one of those in it. Okay. Hot Dog Cart. Another slice of New York life. There's some people online that have been talking about doing a deck that's just all mundane stuff, and I think that would be really fun. It's just an idea, just figuring out who your commander would be if you play in a commander. Romantic Rendezvous, which is Mary Jane and Spider-Man kissing. They're doing that famous upside down kiss thing. This is actually a really good card. Merciless Enforcers. Oh yeah, it's Montana, Fancy Dan, and Ox. So this is the Enforcers from issue what? Amazing Spider-Man 10. So it's really cool to have these guys on a card. I love Grizzly and the Enforcers and stuff like that. That's the kind of flavor we really want from the set. Web Up, of course, classic. Spider-Man webbing someone up and leaving them there. The Alchemax Slayer bots. The Spots Portal. There's Prowler, Misguided Mentor. You know, I've been getting a lot of doubles for the rare slots, but almost no doubles in the commons and uncommons, which is weird. Pictures of Spider-Man. Spider-Man Noir. All right, there's the land. There's another foil Web of Life and Destiny. Here's Symbiote Spider-Man with the web treatment. Superior Spider-Man. Relentless Assault is a nice one. And a foil Hide on the Ceiling, which is actually a really good card. I mean, I'm definitely getting stuff to play with, for sure. One thing I should mention is I did get this at a slight discount, which I was surprised at, so it was below MSRP. I'm actually a little hard up for money these days, but what I did was I actually sold a bunch of old back issues that I no longer fit in my collection to buy this. So I'm just looking at this as that I traded those comics I didn't want anymore for this. So even though these packs haven't been great money-wise, it's fine because it's all kind of a bonus. Here's the Masked Meower. Again, we're getting a lot of new commons and uncommons in every pack. Lurking Lizards. Oh, I say that, and here's a double here. Inner Demons Gangsters, Mechanical Mobster, Thwip. So there's 3 in a row. There's Spider Suit, which we hadn't gotten before. It's an equipment. Here's Vulture. That's a new one we haven't gotten. Looking cool. Spider-Man India. This is our first one of these. And Tombstone. Career Criminal. Here's another Hide on the Ceiling. Another Clone Saga. So I've got 3 of those, plus I pre-ordered one. So I have plenty of those. All right, here's a full art Electro Assaulting Battery, which is great. This is a great Electro is an excellent card, is an excellent commander, and he's just good across the board. For if you're playing red, he's just tops. So that's a really good card. But here's a foil Tangle, which is cool. And then here's a foil J. Jonah Jameson. Now I mentioned this full art. I mentioned before, this is a great card. When J. Jonah Jameson enters, suspect up to one target creature. Now, suspect is a mechanic in the game where you give a target creature menace. And then whenever a creature you control with menace attacks, create a treasure token. So he's accusing Spider-Man of being a menace, and then he's making money off of it with his newspapers. This is one of the, if not the best flavor card in the whole set. It's great. All right, we got 2 packs left. Money-wise, I haven't even come close to getting my money back. But again, there's a lot of fun cards here. I'm definitely considering making just a generic, like a mundane New York Life deck, but also just a Spider-Man deck if I can figure out how to do it. There is a 5-color Spider-Man commander. It's Cosmic Spider-Man we haven't seen yet. Common Crook. But also I think that Cosmic Spider-Man is really boring. Eerie Gravestone, which is great. It's referencing Web of Spider-Man 32 and the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline. Oscorp Research Team. Here's Guy in the Chair, which is Ned. The big joke for people online is like he's 2/3. Now in the game, a basic bear is 2/2. So for some reason, you know, a fat kid on the computer in his bedroom is able to like physically defeat a bear with his bare hands, I guess. Suburban Sanctuary, so it's Aunt May's house, which is great. This is another one of those a cycle of lands. I'm just missing one of them now. Wall Crawl, another classic Spider-Man thing. Spider Girl, so here's Mayday Parker, Spider Girl, so that's cool. Flying Octobot. I swear I must be getting close to having all of the commons and uncommons from the whole set here. Oh, and here's Spider-Man Noir, but with the special scene treatment and his foil, so that goes with this set here. Okay, very happy with this. It's a foil Spectacular Spider-Man. This is sort of, there's Amazing Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man, and then there's Superior Spider-Man, and then a bunch of other ones. This is actually the one that I want to play with. This is going right in my Captain America deck. This is an excellent card. Very happy with this. Parker Luck. My least favorite thing about Spider-Man is the Parker Luck. That's actually kind of why I stopped reading Spider-Man, is because he's such a sad sack loser, just whining all the time about luck, when almost all of his problems are self-induced. And I've seen so many people open this card, and it's not a very good card. And so it's kind of ironic, because if you open this card in a collector pack, you yourself have Parker Luck. Otherwise, you would have gotten something good. Here's Mr. Negative, which is a really cool card. This is a build-around commander card for sure. 9 Lives, which is we haven't gotten any duplicates on the bonus cards, so that's cool. And obviously it has Black Cat. And oh, speaking of Black Cat, here's the foil Black Cat comic book art version. So that's a cool card to have. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, last pack. We haven't gotten any of the big ones. I thought I was going to be able to retire off of the Thanos getting the super rare Soul Stone, but like everyone else that I've seen open these, instead I've been mostly getting a bunch of stuff that's not worth anything. But we have 1 pack left. Who knows? This might be the one. This might have the stuff I'm looking for. Professional Wrestler. Crusher Hogan. So this is the wrestler that Peter Parker was wrestling with in Amazing Fantasy 15. Shock. So we got two different versions of that. Steel, Wrecking Ball. It's actually Spider-Man swinging the Wrecking Ball. So when I first saw this online, I was like, is that the Wrecker? Is it the Absorbing Man? No, it's neither of those people. It's actually Spider-Man swinging a Wrecking Ball. Risky Research. And that's, again, Dr. Octopus. I wish there was a little more Lizard in these. Speaking of Lizard, here's Rampaging Classmate, which is another alternate universe Peter Parker. Here's Shocker, Unshakable. We've got another Sun Spider, another Silver Sable, and another Spider UK. Another Bioorganic Carapace. Another Parker Luck. Oh, here's a different Green Goblin card. So this is not Norman Osborn. This is Green Goblin Nemesis, which is from the starter set. Feed the Swarm. And here's Lizard, Connor's Curse. Plus a Flash Thompson art card. And Lizard, Connor's Curse is actually a really, really good card. All right, so that's it. That's what I opened. Now let's take a look at these here. Got a foil Tangle. We got a foil Saw in Half. So these are the ones that I really wanted. Was this subset with the old comic book art. Relentless Assault is a good one. Goblin Bombardment foil. Arachnogenesis, the first one I got, is actually the best one in there. And then we got two Norman Osborns. This is the best card that I probably got in the whole thing. And it's really cool, for sure. But value-wise, yeah, I took an absolute bath on this. But again, I was basically just trading old comics to open these, and there's a lot of really fun cards here that I'm definitely going to use. So overall, I'm pretty happy, with the experience. And I got to say, I hardly got any doubles for commons and uncommons, which is kind of weird. But that's it. Yeah, it took me an hour to do this. But we got some really cool stuff. That Spectacular Spider-Man is going right in my Captain America deck. One thing that's interesting is I had pre-ordered some of the cards from this set, and I did get a Path to Exile, but I didn't get any of the other ones that I pre-ordered from the bonus sheet, so that's nice. I did get, unfortunately, almost all of the sagas, so I'm going to have a bunch of doubles of the sagas. However, there was one saga that I didn't get, which was the Origin of Spider-Man, so I've got that on the way. Oh, and I don't think I got the red one either, which is Maximum Carnage. So I'm going to have to go through and see which cards I didn't get that I still want from the set, and I can order those. And then I'll go through the doubles I got and decide which ones I'm going to sell. But overall, some really cool stuff. I also got these, I got 4 of the scene cards. There's 9 of them though, so I don't have enough to put them together into a scene. I'm trying to see if any of the cards that I have actually fit together, and I don't think so. Let me see. No, I see Dr. Octopus's tentacles on 2 different cards, but they're not ones that fit together. Oh, wait a minute. I think these 2 fit together. Hold on. No, they don't. All right, so I can't put that together. But, all right. Let me know what you think down below. I'll see you next time.